guys.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Litchfield County Sports Program. I'm your host, Tim Gaffney, joined as always by my good friend, Mr. Rick Wilson. And look where we are tonight, Mr. Wilson.
A few new surroundings here. We got
huh?
up the road a little bit. We got some good guests later on, and a new journey for us.
Yes,
here.
it is. Well, it is. If we look a little brighter, it's because we have the sun directly on our faces. But it's summertime, so that's how we kind of like it. We want to thank the fine folks here from Cablevision for having us on the program. Doug Harrell and his crew do a great job here at Cablevision with community radio, Cable 5. Mr. Wilson is fresh out of prison today, so that's a good thing. He actually
true story.
He took his students from Thomaston High School. Rick is a history teacher at Thomaston High School. Took them to prison today. How was the visit today, and did you bring them all back?
Well, I always get requests to leave a few of them there, but
parental.
Parental, maybe some faculty, maybe some others, but I did bring them all back. We have to do a count when we leave, and they kind of throw them out. They got enough guests already there, so they kind of throw them out anyways. But it's a unique field trip. It's something I've been doing for about 10 years in conjunction with civics and law class, a half-year course. We get a tour of the facility, well, most of the facility. For those, we go to Garner Correctional in Newtown, and for those that aren't familiar, Garner is maximum security, but it's also the state mental health facility. So there are a bunch of different levels from general population on down. We don't generally get to see the on down unless we know somebody there, but it's, they give us a tour, and it's an eye-opening experience. But the best part of the tour is actually we spend about the last hour and 20 minutes in a sit down with the prisoners. And I don't tell the kids till after, and I usually have to find out. But I think we had 6, which is more than we usually get today, but 4 of them are convicted murderers. They're not going anywhere. There's body counts there. They do a great job. It's their little piece of giving back, not excusing them. But it's a unique field trip, as I tell them, that you're not going to get a chance to do again unless you're a customer or you have a relative there.
Yeah, and not someplace you want them to visit, but boy, it's got to be an eye-opening thing for some of these kids. How was this year's group? How'd they take it?
They enjoy it. One of the things I try to talk to them, they enjoy it. The prisoners try to get them to open up. Kind of the theme of the whole thing is if I knew then what I know now. They enjoyed it. They're very comfortable with the prison. The prisoners, the group they have, which changes with the population, and these are the most trusted prisoners. We do talk a lot about when we come out about, first of all, let's not make heroes out of these guys. They're in there for a reason. But we also talk a lot about there's bad people, and then there's people that do bad things. And so this year's group was fine. They also liked the trip to McDonald's, which caps off the day. But it's an eye-opening, and it's a really good field trip.
Absolutely.
It's a good time.
As we tape today, Mother Nature has definitely been throwing some monkey wrenches around. It is thunderstorm time. It is the end of May, beginning of June, where this will air next Thursday here on Cable 5, and by then we're hoping that the Seymour-Oxford girls softball game will actually be over.
Well, I'm caught halfway in between. Right now it's the longest-running NVL softball title game in history. It started about 20 of 8 Wednesday night, and hopefully we'll finish it tomorrow night. We're in the bottom of the 5th, no score, no surprise there. The two teams have played 21 innings and traded 1-0 games, so no surprise there. So tomorrow night could end in a half an hour if somebody can get a run, or we could be there for another 2 hours, and we'll see what happens.
14 innings last time, right?
Ashley Gillette, who's just off the charts, and Rayanne Geffert, Seymour's fine pitcher. So eventually we'll get a winner here because we got the state tournament starting Monday.
And the rankings are coming out, and next week action will be well underway with a lot of local teams involved in it. Obviously you have the Thomaston girls softball team, which hasn't lost since 1947. So they just continue to roll 19-0, perfect season after being the Class S state champions next year. And Rick will always tell me, this year's team, I think they're going to run into a bump. I'm going to believe it when I see it, because these kids just refuse to lose. After coming off a state championship in basketball, you're 19-0. You can't kill a bear. You've written about it many times, right?
It is hard to pick against them, not just because they've kept winning, but their method of winning, which seems like comeback after comeback after comeback. We will see. There's some great teams in Class S. East Granby and Wheeler is very good this year, so we will see. But there's 9 of the 13 girls are from the basketball team. They haven't lost since January 31st. Okay, they've won 26 softball games in a row, dating back to last year. The juniors on the team, the Morgan Sansons, Gabrielle Hurlbert, Nicole Schaefer, and there's a couple other, Julia Roman. Those kids have like 10 high school titles already, and they're all back again next year. So it's a nice run. We'll see what happens. They're both probably going to play at home Monday, and they play on the same field, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Yeah. But we got a lot going on Monday.
Home run to second base, right?
Home run to second base. Well, it was really nice last year. I was talking to Mike McKenna, and I think I saw him wandering around here
I think
somewhere.
he might be in the building somewhere. We're not sure.
But because he's going to have the same thing probably happen Monday. But Thomaston plays on the same field because of their vast expanse of territory.
Yes.
And last year they played 1-1 and the one after, and they let school out the last period, which was very cool to see them all sitting on the hillside. So, we'll see what happens there. And
you get a great turnout in Thomaston. The hill in Thomaston by Blackrock, school, and by the high school. I mean, that community really, shows up nicely. Why wouldn't you? This is a once in a lifetime run.
It's probably the greatest era, particularly with the girls' sports. It's probably the greatest era they had. I don't even think that's arguable. But it's also something for kids to take pride in and kids to cling to. That is now a 227-kid public high school. There's 52 kids in the junior class. So what they're doing and transferring it from sport to sport, it's kind of off the charts what's going on down there. So we'll see what happens. It's been but it's a terrific ride for them.
It's not a bad time of the year for us as it goes into state tournament time. But without further ado, we should probably talk about the two fantastic guests that we have on our first segment here today. We always cover the Litchfield Hills Road Race. Rick has been covering it for a lot longer than I have, but we have two gentlemen, with us. So it's always a privilege for us to talk to. To Rick's left is Bill Burgess, and to my right is Rod Dixon. And gentlemen, and I'll start with Mr. Dixon, welcome to the program. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Ted. Rick, nice to be here. Pleasure to be here.
You guys are becoming regulars. We've done this at Applebee's before. We have been road warriors at different, locations, and we always appreciate, what you have done. I mean, winning the New York City Marathon, which, winning is finishing, and finishing is winning. We got that ingrained in there. Tell the folks a little bit about your career, and then we'll go into Kids Marathon. Where you're from, when you started running, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, I think I ran away from home when I was 4.
So running was good.
Nobody caught him.
They still haven't
Nobody caught
him. But I played rugby. I played cricket. Basketball, but when it came to running, I just knew that was me. That was new. I just felt that was what it was going to be. And it wasn't long before you were allowed to join a running club at 10 years old. So I joined the running club, and I still belong to the running club. They haven't given me life membership yet. I still have to pay my dues.
What is off with that?
But it really was. I didn't really click in until I was about 18. And that was when I was listening to the transistor radio. And as I say to kids, that was wireless in those days. Yeah. And but it was the 1968 Olympic Games with Jim Ryan against Kip Kaino for the Olympic 1500 meter final. And I jumped up and I said, "That's me, you guys. I'm going to the Olympics."
Wow!
And 4 years later, I was at the Olympics, world cross country, twice at world cross country medalist. Ran everything from steeplechase to indoors to 800 meters to 5,000 meters, 10,000 meters. I just love running. It was just a passion for me. I think the biggest influence came from Sir Edmund Hillary came to our school when I was 10, and he told us that Mount Everest wasn't high enough for your goals, your dreams, and your aspirations. And I went, after the Olympic Games in 1972, one of the media guys said, "Why don't you tell Sir Edmund Hillary?" I said, "Whoa, you don't call the national hero," but he said, "Yes, here it is in the phone book. Hillary, Edmund Percival, 282A Remuera Road in Auckland."
I still remembers it.
And
Stunning.
I knocked on the door and I told him, "Sir, you came to my school when I was 10, and I've just been to the Olympic Games, and I took my medal out just to support my story. And this was in part due to your inspiration to me." And he looked at the medal and he said, "This is very fine, young Rodney. I want you to promise me you'll inspire the next generation. And I said I would. And with that, the door closed, and I thought, when's this going to happen? But it really did come to me. And it was in 1990 when I started a run program in some of the schools. And I went around all the schools to inspire the kids. Running was good for you, eat healthy, and the rest is history. We did that, and then I started the program in 2006 in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles Marathon. In those days, it was called the City of Los Angeles Marathon, and then I was here for the road race, and I was at the Litchfield High School.
Yep.
And somebody across the room was answering my questions. And I look over and I said, who is that guy? And there he is right over there. We call him Sir William Burgess. And Bill Burgess and I have been inseparable since then.
Absolutely. Go to the New York City Marathon for a minute for people, because that's really where a lot of this inspiration came from.
Well,
too,
it did. I think, after winning the Tavern on the Green, and I remember Phil Donahue was there, and he'd been buying champagne, and I just sort of thought, whew, I've got to take a break here. And I went out, and it was raining, and I pulled my hood up and went over towards the finish line, and I was astounded that there was still thousands of people running up the street. And I looked, and it was 2.5 hours, 3 hours later. And I was watching them. They were going across the finish line, arms in the air, hugging, high fives. I think somebody proposed to his girlfriend right there. And
Can't get a no on that.
Yeah. And I just thought to myself, everybody today is a winner. I'm not the only winner. Everybody who crosses that finish line is a winner. And I was talking with a couple of my mates, and they said, that's right, finishing is winning, and winning is finishing.
It's amazing.
And that came the mantra for the kids. And the kids also, too, they'll tell you, here in the tortoise, who won the race?
Exactly.
That's right.
Finishing is winning.
Yep.
And that's really where it's kind of settled with the kids, that they now know it's non-competitive. They go out and do the best that they can. And when they get that medal, I tell you, that's life-changing for a lot of these kids. They've done something, they've been rewarded, and they've been pats on the back, and the community, the family, love it.
Excellent. On the day before the road race this year is June 14th on Sunday, and Saturday is Litchfield Community Day, and that's when these kids will finish their 26 miles. They'll finish their last mile at Plum Hill and Litchfield and assorted other areas, around at different points. And we see the Pied Piper over here, who will be leading hundreds of kids, embarrassing all of us with his athleticism and his jumping and his running. And all these kids follow, and they do that last mile with such enthusiasm. You've got music in the background. You've got our good friend Brent Hawkins up there with a funky hat doing all his thing and having some fun. And, and Bill is there. And that day is a remarkable day. And I think that's a day that really resonates with the families and with the kids, where it is just, wow, running is fun. Getting in shape is fun.
Yeah.
It's not work. Running is not, I got to run the mile again today. It's,
right.
I'm going to go run. And by the way, and they probably have to be reminded by us, who's Rod Dixon and but that's what our job is, to remind the kids of what, is going on, with history.
But that's part of the great thing about that. At a time where obesity has been identified as a national problem with our youth, and it's about being part of something and whatever, and schools are cutting gym classes and things like that. This is another terrific avenue for a way to be involved and kind of push the health benefit of it and everything else that goes with it. So, that's a great part of it, too.
Mm-hmm. Bill doesn't like to talk, we've heard. I'm just kidding. Bill is as passionate about how he's helping these kids get in shape, and from the side of the business end of it, and as far as the partnerships that work with supplying the food. So talk about your end and how you got involved with Rod.
I was carrying a book around, a little hardcover book called Happy Feed Healthy Food, and trying to figure out how we were going to take a farmer's market and make it into a public charity. Not an easy trick, and had an idea that maybe we could come up with some different parts and pieces of creating a healthy community. And through that book, and I just went down to meet Rod. I helped him answer some questions, and then he became more intrigued with our little conversation, and we just left the room and walked away. And they said, "Where did those guys go?" and out of that, time went on. Rod just came for at the invitation of Hawk to see what the road race was about. He had no idea what he was going to get into. That he was now going to be spending months living in Litchfield, visiting schools, and all over the state. That this would become a state program, and it was about 9 months after that I walked into Hawk's office, and I said, "Do you have Sir Rodney's phone number?" And Hawk got him on the phone, and we quickly compared who had the most free mileage, and that was a way of determining that he was going to come here. I was not going to go there. And being kind of doers, thinkers, but also doers, we decided that in a brief 2 months we would totally recalibrate his program into a public charity event. Worked with people in Torrington, the print shop, got the schools going. Went to the Armory for a kind of a chamber day, and the net of it is we had 57 kids, and we worked with the Litchfield Hills Road Race folks.
57 kids.
57 kids, and they ran within the race, and we brought the inaugural T-shirt, Rod Dixon's Kids Marathon 2008, and the kids were actually pioneers. And that's where it started. We then learned from that if the objective was to be all about the kids, and our goal was to inspire them to achieve something that nobody thought that a kid could achieve in elementary school, that is running 26.2 miles. We had our little trick about how that was going to happen, and that we then worked through a lot of other partners down to Plum Hills, and in 2009 we began there, and now we're somewhere between 750 and 1,000 kids there. We have 16 schools coming this year from all over Northwest Connecticut. That's the most schools ever. But most importantly, this was embraced by the Connecticut Association of Schools, something they were looking at. There are not, athletic directors are not connected at the elementary level. But there was a committee working on that. They looked at everything in the training manual that Rodney had spent years putting together, with the help of his friends out in various parts of the world, and they looked at it. They couldn't change a cross on a T or a dot on the I, and that's where that started. They tested it in Southington, and it worked. We had a lot of public relations out of it, and today we're up to 9 locations in the state with about 7,500 kids running. From Trumbull, Glastonbury, Waterbury, Waterford, Storrs, Danbury, Litchfield, on and on. It's growing. And the Connecticut Association of Schools has been terrific to sponsor it. That enables us to communicate directly through them to the schools, and it is their program. The program is owned by the community. It's owned by anybody who wants to support it.
Sure.
Yep,
so
it's taken on a life of its own. It's become a part, one of the pillars of our public charity, which is sustainable, healthy communities. We now, after having put the kind of our extended business card out with the farmers market, now in its 8+ years, started in 2007, we now have the Farmers Table organization that runs farm-to-table dinners. They joined in to us, and we now have Nourishing School Gardens, all working within the community and through the schools, and now connected in Torrington with the Fit Together organization. And 5210, your favorite numbers.
Well, we're going to do 5210 because all I know is I'm not supposed to have any sugar, but give me the 521 because then eventually I'll figure it out.
Well, I'll do 2, and then I'll hand the baton to Rod. He'll do 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, 2 hours maximum screen time. That means cell phones and computers outside of school.
Okay.
And then we go to...
And 1 hour or more of moderate to vigorous exercise and 0 sugar-sweetened beverages. And kids are getting it. They're understanding it.
Yeah.
Kids are asking for water more.
Isn't that? And I have a 10-year-old granddaughter, Sky Elizabeth, drinks nothing but water. and I have no idea she got it from because her grandfather's been drinking Gatorade since he was born.
Right.
But that's just how she has learned, is that, no, I just want water.
Right.
So that's a good thing, Rick. There's a future
Let's
there,
just
right?
throw a little business. Let's just pop in a little business fact.
Sure.
Since it's my background.
He doesn't like to talk, we told you, remember?
Okay, but $18 billion of revenue has now gone out of the major processed food companies, from McDonald's to Kellogg's to General Mills to Kraft, because people are listening and they're changing their habits. So behavior is beginning to change. Attitudes will follow. So we're helping a little bit. That's our game.
I've actually pretty much gotten off the diet soda. I can remember years ago reading Jimmy Connors writing a book and said when he wanted to get in shape, he got off the soda. That was one of the for whatever it does, it gums you up.
Yeah.
And I wasn't an addict, but I like it. But I'm more. I don't know how good Propel is for you, but I've been drinking more water type stuff. But I'm moving in that direction.
Well, if kids are exercising for an hour or less, they only require water.
Right.
And with all due respects for what the professional athletes have, you've still got a big sugar-laden component of every sports drink.
Yeah.
And it's just got to stop. It's just got to stop. The consumption is far too high.
How does this make you feel, where this was with 57 up until now?
Well, it's absolutely amazing. New Zealand, and the one thing that I have noticed, and that booklet doesn't change for New Zealand, Australia, California, for United Kingdom. Kids are kids wherever you are.
Yep.
And they get it. They understand it. It's when we get to our age that we bring these differences in. But kids are kids, and they like this thing, that they like to engage because they know that the tortoise won the race.
Yep.
And it's okay to take. And I say to kids, you've got all day to finish. You take your time. If you need to take a little walk, you take a little walk. And the kids say, no, I've got to run now. And so they make those decisions themselves.
Yep.
And that's what I love about it. And it really has. And I mean, we have over 25,000 kids that do it in school in Los Angeles.
Amazing.
And 5,000 of those get selected to come to Dodger Stadium. And now we're getting, the Dodgers organization are looking at saying, how do we get more? And I said, it's pretty simple. Open your gates.
Right.
Welcome the community.
Right.
And we could have 40,000 kids running at Dodger Stadium. That would be a world record, and that would be very cool.
Very cool at Chavez Ravine, huh?
Yeah. Well, the kids will go to the ballpark and they'll run at the
Absolutely.
same time. Put a
Absolutely.
little run on the bases in there at the same time to
Yeah.
get an extra quarter mile out of them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's absolutely amazing. What you're doing when you're at Plum Hill, which we'll see you on the 13th, and you see the kids and the rest. That's got to take 10 years off your life every time you do it, right? Doesn't it make you feel so young?
I love it. I was at a school, at a centre school. No, it was actually East School. And I asked the kids if they knew who the first two people who climbed Mount Everest. And one of the kids said, I know that. It says, Mount and Everest? and every day I'm presented with great, spontaneous, carefree, kids are kids.
Yep.
And and that's what I've noticed, that a lot of the schools who, when the budgets get cut, art, music and PE get cut first, and I go, no. So whenever I go to a school, the first thing I do is I see the artwork in the hallways, and I ask the principal, have you got a music room? It's just down the hall. Can I go and have a look? I peep through, and there the kids, I go, this school is perfect for Kids Marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Those three things are what kids need at elementary.
Sure.
Math and science can come later. I mean, the 4-year-olds can operate an iPad. Come on.
Yeah, we need any technical help. We call our kids. We don't do it ourselves. And getting used to what the Litchfield Hills Road Race was like when you first got here. Being a runner and the rest. How much fun has that been for you?
Oh,
and how
my
it's just
gosh.
grown over the years.
Yeah, unbelievable to think that they're into their 40th year, the 39th this year, 40 next year. And I was actually asking Billy Nellard earlier on, the great Bill Rogers and Joni Benoit and Randy Thomas and all these great Boston runners who came and supported in the those, you've got to bring them back. Yeah, and they're working on it, which is
That's
fantastic.
a great group.
Yeah.
And you know what? And what year? When did you first come here? Do you remember?
The year before,
2007.
so 2007.
Yeah. He's the only one that still looks younger as the years go by. The rest of us.
Yeah, something. But what we will say, like we always say, and we're very modest, is every year we win the race because we're back at the finish line before anybody else.
Yeah.
Now, forget about the fact that we go 75 miles an hour down one of the side streets there in order to get back there. The road race for us, I mean, it has become such an event. We'll have a tent there this year like we have the last couple of years. The Wilsons have a tent, there. Mrs. Wilson takes care of the running for both families. We appreciate that. She takes up the run. We have to work. So we would run if we didn't have to work, Rick, right? Is that what our story is?
Yeah,
Okay,
it goes
good.
somewhere along that. It's just
Gotta work. Gotta
man's got to
work.
know his limitations, right?
Yeah, we have to get up onto the press truck, right? And the press truck is getting a little older, right? I mean, the ladder is
I don't
as
know
old
if it's
as
the
the
truck
race.
or the driver, but either one, But
We were a lot thinner when we got up there, I think, than where we first started this,
well,
too.
I
But-
know I had more hair. That's for darn sure.
And the race for us is so much fun when you're on the back of that press truck and you see 15 or 16 or it could be 3,000 people if they let that many in, come running after you, right? And then a little crowd separates. You got 9 or 10. We have a lot of fun on the press truck. We've got our good friend Joe Palladino, Peter Wallace, Lori Riley is normally there from the Hartford Current. One year we had a gentleman who had passed away in the lead. All of us did for like 5 minutes. It was Bernie.
Fortunately,
whoever it was,
for Bernie Doyle, I think we had leading the race. And, despite his maybe running accomplishment, I don't think that was Bernie Doyle.
So it's not really an official thing up on the truck. We just have a lot of fun with it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
the fastest half hour in television, like it always is, the fastest half hour in radio is quickly winding down here. We have just a couple of minutes left, but Rod, start with you. What would you like the people to know if they want to be more involved in this, or where would you like to see this going? Who do they contact?
At the school. Just go to the school and just say, I want to help with the kids. It's interesting because a lot of the people I speak to have got kids in school, and the kids have told the family about this thing they're in. And so they get engaged. So go to the school, volunteer, help. It's just such a rewarding thing to see these kids. And I was here in April, and I was at schools where they were still indoors doing like 30 laps.
Okay.
And that is dedication. And I high-fived all the kids, and I said, and they do it all year round, some of these schools. So the kids, the kids will, they'll come with a note to get out of PE if they don't want to do it. But every kid was in the program.
Okay.
That's what I love about it.
That's outstanding. Mr. Burgess, closing notes?
I'll just give you the typical sports answer when the game is won, which is it's about the team. Our partners in this thing, the Litchfield Bank Corps, should be congratulated for being a supporter of this whole program since 2007, that they brought their community day down there. And now the Fit Together organization is coming in. The YMCA from Northwest Connecticut is bringing an agility course. There's bouncy houses. It's for the community to come in and see what's going on at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's run like an Olympic event for the kids. It's all about the kids. There'll be 3,000 to 5,000 people there, and it's all good.
It's absolutely amazing. Well, listen, gentlemen, we really want to thank you for coming on the program today. We look forward to seeing you on the 13th up there at Plum Hill, as we do every year. And as you will know now, as we normally go out of any show, it's always up to Mr. Wilson to take us out. So, Mr. Wilson.
Well, even before we do that, I'll make a promise to Bill that I will at least present this in Thomaston. He's been chiding me a little bit
Nice.
the last couple
I
of
like
years.
it. I like
Rich
it.
history there on the high school level with Mark Olson, so I will take
I mean,
that.
heaven help that Hartford and all the correct schools would take this on, and Thomaston would be left on
Absolutely.
on the
That
sideline.
Bill Burgess said that, not Rick Wilson. But just remember that. But I will
Make
do
it happen,
that.
people.
And let's go. Let's let Rod take us out with his motto.
Finishing is winning. Winning is finishing.
Outstanding. Thanks, guys.
Later.